All right, there we go. We should be good. All right, cool. We are live digitally. There we go. How many idiots does it take to figure out a Wi-Fi router? Apparently not that many. We got it rock and roll. Okay, Wednesday, September the 8th, 2021, to all those who just tuned in and joined digitally, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Thank you all so much. Again, of course, I'm Chris Phillips, the Spurs Up Show. We're here live at Tin Roof. Appreciate you all tuning in. We got our technical issues figured out. Blame the Muschamp Packers, folks. Blame the Muschamp Packers. It's always the Muschamp Packers' fault. But again, we overcome, we persevere, just like Shane Beamer and company. We push through, and we make it happen. So again, taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. If you guys do want to call in now that you're tuned in digitally, you want to call 843-790-3377. But again, back to what I was saying, and the people who are probably going to tune in digitally have already heard this, but 500,000 all-time podcast downloads. Just want to say thank you to you all for the love and support, man. It's absolutely incredible. That's not a small number. That's not an insignificant number, and it's something that I believe in celebrating the victories, big and small. And so, you get to the point we're at now, and we're rocking and rolling, got your head down, grinding. We're scheduling ourselves out to basically the hour every single day. But it is good to take a moment, to take a second, whatever it is, and just appreciate where we come from to where we are now. I remember being in Charlotte, literally in my closet, recording this podcast. So being here, doing this full time, sitting here in front of you at Tin Roof is a really, really cool thing. And like I said, I appreciate the love and support. So again, taking your questions, your comments. Josh Clark says, do you think Zeb could be a better answer to the quarterback situation because he's a better passer and our rushing game should be top tier with Harris back? So, of course, that is the conversation, right? Going into this weekend against East Carolina, and, of course, we're coming off of the EIU game, our first conversation since the Gamecocks took the field and won their season opener under Shane Beamer, obviously in dominating fashion, 46-0. We can talk about that. We can talk about the upcoming ECU game, whatever you guys want to discuss. But, I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. I still believe the best version of this football team, the best version of this offense will come with Luke Doty under center. I truly believe that. I think when you take a look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the deficiencies of this football team and what it needs, I think at some point you're going to have to be dynamic offensively to win a football game. You're going to have to be dynamic at the quarterback position, and this is not an offense with a plethora of weapons. Let's just call it for what it is. It's not like we have playmakers all over the field, especially at the wide receiver position. I liked what I saw from Josh Vann, but top to bottom, we understand there are still issues, there are still deficiencies, there are still things you have to figure out. And, this might sound crazy to some of you, but when I look at Zeb Nolan, I see a lot of Colin Hill. Granted, he's in a much better system, I would say, Zeb is. He's under a much better coaching staff, but the skill sets are very, very similar in regards to they're not elusive. I mean, obviously, Zeb Nolan's got more escapability than Colin Hill, but probably everybody in this bar does as well. But, I think you're going to need that escapability, that big playability that I think a guy like Luke Doty possesses, running a 4-4, getting outside the pocket, making things happen with his legs, being multidimensional. I mean, that's something Holt Nailors has. That's something Holt Nailors, the East Carolina quarterback, has, and we'll get into more into that here in just a second. But I think it's only a positive what happened in week one for South Carolina with Zeb Nolan, the way he played. We talked about this last week, him taking the keys to the car and not wrecking the thing and returning it in one piece and being the leader, though, being the field general, not putting the ball in harm's way, being smart. I think you saw him do that. I think he did an incredible job. He did everything you could have asked for from him and more. But the most dynamic and best version of this offense and this team, I think, is with Luke Doty under center. Who will play this Saturday? Is Luke Doty 110%? I think the decision is very simple. If Luke Doty's 100%, he goes. He has to go. He has to start. He has to play the entire game. And I don't see a situation where you're playing multiple quarterbacks. If you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. You've got to pick your guy. Is Luke Doty your guy or not? And I will say this on that note, though, too. If Shane Beamer comes out Saturday morning and says Zeb Nolan's the guy that gives us the best chance to win, I'm going to roll what Shane Beamer says. I have no reason to doubt the guy or, hey, he's at practice every single day. We're not. So trust in Shane Beamer. He's going to make the decisions that best serve this football team. So if he says it's Zeb Nolan on Saturday, then, hey, let's go Zeb. Zeb for Heisman. Zeb Timber continues, whatever. But just personally, from my perspective, my vantage point, again, looking at this team and what it's best at and it's not so good at, I just think Luke Doty, his athleticism, his dynamic playmaking ability gives you a chance. And it's not just about East Carolina. It's about the rest of this season. And I've seen some people, too, saying, oh, you should save Luke Doty and start him against Georgia. I've never heard something crazier in my entire life. Like, what are you talking about? That's throw him to the Wolves, why don't you, in week 3. So I think you got to get Luke out there. I think it's just as simple as that, though. I think if he's 110%, I saw somebody on social media comment today as well and say, you play them both on Saturday and let's figure out who the man is. Now, you need to determine who the man is before Saturday. Bottom line. Luke Doty was the man after the spring game. He was the man all summer long. He was the man going into fall camp. Does an injury all of a sudden knock him out of that and make him not the man now for your football team? I mean, should Luke Doty – that's a better question. Should Luke Doty lose his starting job due to an injury? That's my question to you. Again, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Again, the quarterback battle, the quarterback conversation that nobody asked for. I surely didn't. I'm sure you didn't as well, but here we are. I will say this, the one thing that came out of Saturday, I think the whole Jason Brown and Colton Gauthier conversation is dead, at least for this week. I don't think anybody's clamoring for those two guys anymore, which, I'm not shocked at all how it played out. But you got to tip your cap first thing to Zeb Nolan and the way he played on Saturday. Did a really, really good job for South Carolina. I was most impressed, too. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Got a couple more questions. I was most impressed, too, with the way Shane Beamer just had this football team ready to play. That was my big thing last week was, it's a lesser opponent. You're playing a putrid FCS team, a team you obviously know you're better than. It'd be very easy to go out there and be kind of unmotivated and unfocused and take your opponent lightly. But I thought Shane Beamer, Marcus Satterfield, Clayton White, this entire staff had this football team ready to play. I thought they did a fantastic job in regards to, there was never, in my opinion, I know Gamecocks went 3 and out of the first drive, whatever. In my opinion, there was never a stressful moment, a stressful second in that football game on Saturday. I thought from the opening snap, you could obviously tell the Gamecocks were the better team. It was a game that was never going to be in doubt. And like I said, give kudos where kudos are due to Shane Beamer and that coaching staff. I mean, South Carolina, there's been many times over the past couple of years, I'm sure you can all attest, where South Carolina should have dominated. They were supposed to dominate. They were supposed to win, and it wasn't quite as easy as it was supposed to be. And Saturday was very easy. Now, on that note, did we learn anything? Can we draw conclusions from the 46-0 win over EIU? I don't necessarily think so. I come into this weekend against ECU, which I'm very, very intrigued. I was excited for EIU as well, but I'm excited about ECU for a completely different reason. I was excited about EIU because of what it signified and symbolized more than anything. The beginning of a new era, a new age of Carolina football under Shane Beamer, the start of something new, a quote-unquote rebirth of Gamecocks football, if you will. I'm excited for this Saturday because I think we're actually going to learn something about the football team, bottom line. I think we will learn something after this Saturday about this football team. And a lot of questions that we have will be answered. All right, looks like we do have a call. We're going to jump to the phone lines here real quick. Oh, John's calling in. John, what's going on? John, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. In my eyes, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield, if they've already made the decision to go with Luke Doty. You're just kind of going to say it right now until Saturday.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I think they've probably got a pretty decent idea who they're going to go with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I agree. Like, Luke is it's nothing is there, but Luke's just more athletic.
Yeah, that is a fact. That is a fact.
It's obvious, but I don't think Zeb is like I get what you're saying. Like, Zeb is Colin Hill, but I think Zeb's got more capability. It's just I think he's not as close to Colin because Colin is well, statue, and
right.
I don't want to get into that, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a decision already. So, I mean, I'm not. I think it's gonna be Luke 30 personally. I think he's ready.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, John. I tend to agree with you 110%.
Absolutely, yeah. And he can just, like, let me ask you this real quick before I go. Like, would you say East Carolina's D-line, it's not the greatest, is the strength of the defense?
That's a great question. What is the strength of ECU's defense? It's not a very good one. No, I think it's the secondary. I think Jaquan McMillan is a pretty good player, had 4 INTs last year and has had 1 last week. But there aren't many strengths on this defense, man.
No, and I'll go in a sec, but I'm just saying, don't want to get ahead of ourselves. You still got to go play this game on Saturday. But if you get, hey, I hate to say this and disrespect your defense, I'm going to say it anyway. If you get pushed around by Appalachian State's offensive line, like, what are you going to do against their defense against an SEC line?
That's a good point.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're still going to play the game. I'm just saying, if App State did that, what can we do? Offensive line wise, so.
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
yeah.
I think we'll win the game. It's just you got to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, John, I appreciate it, man. Always appreciate it. It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah.
See you, man. Good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hang up because I feel like I'm giving my sound guy Phil nightmares over here with that like echo, that reverbing, whatever. If his voice, by the way, if anybody in here listens to Carolina Calls, his voice should sound pretty familiar to you because I think John calls in like every show. Like I was at Backstreets, I think either last week or 2 weeks ago, and we had just done the show at Tin Roof here the day prior, and I'm sitting there with my buddy Kirk Hollingsworth and the legendary Mike Yuva, the Emmy winner Mike Yuva. We're all sitting there, and they said, let's go to John in Rock Hill, and sure enough, I hear the voice. I'm like, that's John. Like, that's John from Tin Roof. What do you mean? That's not John from Rock Hill. It's John from Tin Roof. So either way, really cool stuff. Appreciate John, but no, he made a lot of great points. What is the strength of the East Carolina defense? I genuinely don't have any clue. I mean, they've got issues. They've got issues. It's hard to call the defensive line their strength because we're talking about a defensive line that gave up 201 yards per game rushing a season ago, and on Saturday gave up 226 yards rushing to Appalachian State, 6.3 yards per carry, the Mountaineers average. So if I'm Kevin Harris, Marshawn Lloyd, Zaquandre White, Juju McDowell, Rashad Amos, I'm licking my chops. I am – South Carolina's running game should have a field day on Saturday. Now, I'm not ready to reveal my prediction. I haven't really sat down. I've got a pretty good feeling of which way I'm going to lean, but I'm going to wait till the Friday podcast per normal to drop that. But I'll just tell you this. I picked 28-24 South Carolina beating ECU in the preseason. There hasn't been a whole lot that is – if anything, that 4-point margin of victory, it's going to be probably at minimum that. There's nothing that's changed my thought process a whole lot. The Vegas line scares me a little bit. I don't know if anybody saw that, but Gamecocks opened as a 2-point favorite Sunday afternoon. Within the hour, it had shifted all the way over to East Carolina as a 4-point favorite. Since then, it's danced around. I saw yesterday ECU was -2, then -1. Then you wake up today, South Carolina is a 2-point favorite. I've seen it even as high as a 3-point favorite. So it's gone from Carolina to ECU back to Carolina, which is why my best bet for the game was the under 58. And I know the life's too short to bet the under crowd exists, but it's not too short to bet the under if you like winning money. That's for sure. So I wouldn't touch the spread. I just wouldn't do it. There's something funky about it. I wouldn't mess with it. So Robert Cook says, how do you think Lloyd did on Saturday? I thought he did well. I think that he was obviously very anxiously trying to hit the big play. I think Marshawn Lloyd, in his first game, it's everybody's first game and his first ever collegiate game, and he wants to make a splash and he wants to put on a show for Gamecock fans, as he's said before. Let's see. Cora says, having a bad feeling about this game. Their team's speed might catch us napping. And I have not seen many Gamecock fans comment that have been on the negative side. I think most fans think we're going to blow them out, which has been kind of surprising to me. I'm surprised at how many fans think this is just going to be a cakewalk. Now, I don't believe that. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a very close game. And like I said, I was excited for EIU for different reasons, or for a different reason than I'm excited for ECU. I was excited for EIU, the beginning of a new era. I'm excited for ECU because we're actually going to learn about the football team. We're going to start to learn about them. Your first test. And I think the schedule set up beautifully with, not playing Georgia week 2. I think playing a manageable opponent, there's a gradual increase in competition versus there being this, EIU and Georgia couldn't be more of polar opposites. So I think it sets up well for South Carolina. But we're going to learn about, hey, can a receiver step up? Can Josh Vann truly emerge as that number one guy? We saw it a little bit against EIU. Can he take the next step and emerge as the number one guy? The offensive line, can they make strides from week 1 to week 2? Quarterback, obviously. I don't have to say much more about that. The tight end position, what type of impact can Jaheim Bell truly be a game breaker week after week after week after week? Defensively, where a lot of the questions lie. The secondary. Is the secondary ready to hold up this weekend? One of my big keys to the game that will be on the podcast tomorrow, containing Holton Ahlers. Not just getting pressure on Holton Ahlers, but you have to contain him because he's a guy that can beat you with both his arm and his legs. And how often, Gamecock fans, have we seen a dual-threat guy beat us? How often have we seen that? So that great pass rush, I think they're going to be able to get there, but you've got to contain Ahlers too, because if you allow him to get outside the pocket, not only make plays with his legs, but extend plays, I worry about that secondary. I worry, and not just them, but any secondary. You ask any secondary to cover that long, you're going to have issues. And Ahlers is a veteran quarterback. He'll keep his eyes downfield. And if you're not able to contain him, and the quarterback running game is a big part of their offense on Saturday, it could be a long day for you defensively. Again, line of scrimmage is the big key in this one. I didn't, I said this on the podcast. It'll drop tomorrow. We went ahead and recorded that earlier today. But I feel like with this South Carolina football team, at least early in the season, you could be very repetitive when it comes to keys to the game. And because for South Carolina, it's very simple. We need to run the football. We need to stop the run. That's the bottom line. We got to run the football, stop the run, and don't turn the football over. But of course, I want to get a little creative and not just be repetitive all season long and say the same things over and over and over and over and over again. But seriously, in this one, your biggest, if you were doing a matchup by matchup of the position units, South Carolina's offensive line against ECU's defensive line, and vice versa, the Gamecocks' defensive line against ECU's offensive line, that's where you're going to win this football game. Because I think, honestly, on the outsides, and this may, hurt some people's feelings, but I think on the outside, I think ECU's got enough talent to give you problems. I really do. I think they got speed. I think they've got Rajay Harris in the backfield, who's a really talented running back from the state of South Carolina that they asked him in the preseason. They asked him in the summer, what game are you most looking forward to? Without hesitation, he said South Carolina. So I think he's a guy that feels like he maybe was overlooked. He was slighted a little bit. Whatever he's going to use as motivation, so be it. But at the skill positions, I think ECU can give you some problems. But it's up front. It's up front on both sides that South Carolina really should be able to have their way with East Carolina. You should be able to set the tone offensively on the line of scrimmage. I know the offensive line, they weren't great last weekend. They were not that dominant force that I was hoping they were going to be. But I think the offensive line is going to be fine. I think the offensive line is going to be a strength for this football team. Now, if they struggle again this weekend, I will start to be a little concerned because I believe, yes, the replay of the Georgia-Clemson game is up here on this TV. And I tell you what, if you can't block East Carolina, you sure as hell are not going to block those guys. So it could be a very tell you what, you're talking about who should be a quarterback. Poor Zeb Nolan if he starts at Georgia. Poor Zeb Nolan. He's probably going to sign up to be a GA again after that. They'll probably put the coach's hat back on because it will be a very long night if they cannot protect the quarterback in Athens. But either way, looking at this game, Yeah, line of scrimmage is where you have the biggest talent gap. You should be able to really bully ECU around. I mean, like I said, guys, I know Marcus Satterfield spoke today. He was very complimentary, and just the coach speak, typical deal. Very complimentary of ECU, and said they had big bodies up front and all that good stuff. But dude, we're talking about a defensive line that gave up 201 yards per game rushing last year and gave up 226 yards to Appalachian State in week 1. And App State's very good, by the way. Please, South Carolina versus App State right now, I don't even know if I want to get into that conversation. But App State's a very good team. They play Miami on Saturday. That'll be a really, really intriguing game. I think it's like a 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPNU. That one will be a lot of fun. But on the line of scrimmage, South Carolina should be able to have success in the run game. And then, again, Holt Naylor's last week was running for his life, was sacked 4 times. You feel like you should be able to get after him early and often. And Holt Naylor's as good as he is. I think he is a dynamic playmaker for them at quarterback. And when you have a quarterback, you do have a chance. But he is a guy. I think if you can contain him, keep him in the pocket, make him one-dimensional where he's really got to stay in the pocket and make decisions and throw, he is a guy, if you get pressure on him, I think he will give the football up. He's got kind of that Bo Nix syndrome. Well, he'll give it up if you get after him. So, could be a very fun day for the Gamecocks on Saturday. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying the Gamecocks couldn't go out there and blow out ECU, but I have mentally prepared myself the entire preseason. For a hard-fought, close game, one-score type of ball game. Like I said in the preseason, I picked this as a Gamecocks victory, but I picked it 28-24. I think ECU, they looked really, really bad week 1. And when you talk the gambling line, we'll talk about that for a second. Because I had a lot of buddies after we beat EIU. I just love Gamecock fans. I love the emotional swing of being a Gamecock fan. Because, it's such a week-to-week thing. 1 week we're great. 1 week we're terrible. It's the most roller coaster ride of roller coaster rides you've ever seen. And so, of course, I had buddies of mine texting me after South Carolina beat EIU. Oh, we should be a 9-point favorite, a 10-point favorite. We're going to blow out East Carolina. And I told them, I said, I'd be shocked if it's more than a touchdown spread. Be shocked. And they couldn't fathom that it was South Carolina only favored by 2 points. And, of course, when I went to the ECU side, nobody – I couldn't even believe that. I could not believe it. It swung to ECU. I don't know what happened, but it did. Now it sits as South Carolina as a 2, 2.5, 3, whatever book you look at. I saw it at 2. A 2-point favorite. But I think the reason it's that low, I think Vegas, and I think the reason there's just an overreaction on both sides. People look from week 1 and they think ECU's much worse than they probably are. And people look at Carolina and all they see is a 46-0 dominating win. And people are like, oh, South Carolina's so good. They're so good. And I think there's an overreaction, like I said, on both sides. And again, Vegas, you have to remember, guys, Vegas doesn't have biases. Their only bias is making money. So, and the scary thing is normally Vegas is right. So I just, look at last week. They had the Gamecocks as a 42.5-point favorite. There weren't many telling you to take Carolina minus 42.5 except yours truly. And sure enough, we covered. So you're welcome. Let's see. I've got the Circle website pulled up right now. I want to see if this has moved at all. Let's see. Where'd it go? South Carolina, East Carolina. Yeah, Gamecocks sitting now as 1.5-point favorite. And how about this? We locked in our best bet at over-under 58. The over-under has dropped from 58 to 56. So if you got the under at 58, you're welcome. Again, we went 12-2 last week, guys. So now we're bound to have a miserable weekend on the betting side. We really are. That's normally how it goes. Normally it swings back in favor. Who knows? Maybe this will be like the hottest college football season I've ever had. But yeah. So, but again, I think there's multiple factors there. I think South Carolina's question mark at quarterback. Yeah, and ECU's actually plus 104 now if you want to take them in the money line bet. But I think a lot of it comes down to why this line is so close. I think South Carolina's questions at quarterback. I think there's still questions in the secondary. The offensive line wasn't as impressive as you would have liked to have seen. Being on the road, I think, is another thing. And also, again, I'm surprised to see so many Carolina fans just writing this game up as a blowout, because if you've paid attention to the series between South Carolina and East Carolina, it's been very close. I mean, it's been very, very competitive. Been very competitive. So, I don't expect anything differently. I mean, the last time these two teams met was at Williams-Brice Stadium, and South Carolina won 20-15, and probably shouldn't have won that football game. It was 2016, Will Muschamp's first season. Who can forget Jamarcus King with a couple of interceptions? And ECU got down to the red zone, I think, 3 or 4 times, and just could not do anything with it. So we were very fortunate to win that football game. Delta 900, looks like, is JT Daniels out for Georgia this weekend? Is he on the COVID list? Oblique. Wow. That's the hot rumor. It is insider season for sure. It is insider season. A lot of insiders. I don't know if anybody saw yesterday some slapdick on the East Carolina message board said that Shane Beamer, if he loses this game, is on the hot seat and is going to get fired. I mean, it's just via a cocky insider. It's insider season. Everybody's got a scoop. I mean, I got a guy in my DMs right now. Telling me that, I mean, listen to this. Listen to this madness. This guy DMs me just out of nowhere. I don't know how you believe they're going to come at us early and think that Doty's the guy. We're usually on the same page. I'll put $100 on it right now that Doty won't see a snap in the first half if you want, let alone start. We've seen the same amount of content from them. They're telling us it's Zeb. I'm like, first off, what are you talking about? Come at us. Who is them? What are you talking about? He says the coaching. This is from David Pitts, by the way, in case David Pitts is tuned in live. He says the coaching staff interview since the game, just now watching the show, was referring you talking about them coming at us early. I think they will too, but I don't know how you can believe that and think that Doty's the guy. You watched him last year. Zeb is no Colin Hill. I could be wrong, but reading between the lines, Zeb's the guy. It'll be a close game, but we won't win if we're flipping quarterbacks. Zeb will make it happen, and Beamer knows that, even if it's 28-23. There's no question he's better at passing, and he'll take care of the ball better. Let the running game do their thing. He's a step below Dylan Thompson. Oh, come on. We're not doing that. $100 is on the table for Doty taking a snap in the first half if you want it. I don't want to take this guy's $100. Come on, bro. Give me a break. Zeb Noland a step below Dylan Thompson. That is probably the most absurd thing I've ever seen. Come on, man. The guy went out and threw for 130 yards against Eastern Illinois, and now he's Dylan Thompson? Now he's a step below Dylan Thompson? Are we serious? Come on. I can't believe that guy said that. I can't believe he said that. Anyways, 843-790-3377. Listen, I say this. Maybe Zeb Noland will be the guy. Maybe Zeb Noland will start. But if Luke Doty's 110%, man, I think they're going to roll with Luke. The guy was QB1 for a reason. Zeb Noland wouldn't have a jersey on if it wasn't for Luke Doty's injury. So, GZ Phenom says, I don't think it'll be a cakewalk at all. I think it'll be neck and neck to the fourth, and we run away with it. I could see a game like that. I could see it being a game where South Carolina's able to pull away late, especially like a long touchdown drive. They run the football. Can East Carolina, conditioning be a big thing, right? Can East Carolina, we've got at least some depth on the line of scrimmage. We've got depth for sure on the line of scrimmage. Can East Carolina keep up with that? Can they keep up with that? Shout out to Delta 900 for this comment. He says, Shane Beamer farted in Ray Tanner's office chair 2 days ago. He immediately was on the hot seat. Very good. Very good. Yeah, Hunter Herlong, I can't believe David Pitts, and I'll DM David after this, comparing Dylan Thompson and Zeb Noland. That is insane. That is Looney Tune talk. That is straight up Looney Tunes. I mean, you have got to be joking. Wow. Big Creek 61 says 31-24 Carolina. I could see it. I could see it. Could most certainly see it, no doubt. Let's see. Justin Langford says, that's insane, but hey, everyone is excited if this will be like Doty taking over like Shaw did in the ECU game back in the day. I don't know. Again, if I had to guess, gun to head, I think it's Luke Doty. Heck, I've got Luke Doty listed as one of my key matchups for Saturday. That's how, I think it's going to be Luke Doty. If Luke Doty wasn't 100%, why would he be practicing? Why would you practice a guy that's not 100%? How much sense does that make? And from what they're saying, he's practicing. He's out there. He's doing it. If he wasn't 100%, why would you have him practicing? If his foot wasn't good to go, why would he be practicing to go play Saturday? I don't know. I think this is a huge smoke screen. I think, Shane Beamer, obviously, don't show your hand if you don't have to. I know he mentioned, will it be will it be Dak Joyner? Will it be Zeb? Will it be Jason Brown? Will it be Luke? It's will it be Zeb or will it be Luke? And I gun to head. I'm saying it's Luke Doty. I'm listing Luke Doty as a key matchup. I guess if he doesn't play, I look like a complete idiot. But hey, it won't be the first time I look like a complete idiot. So whatever, it is what it is. We're gonna go till 6 o'clock, guys, and take a 5-minute break. We'll take a quick take 5. So we got about 10 minutes. Get your questions, your comments in, and continue to submit your questions and comments. As we have a relaxing night here on this one. This is kind of nice. I don't know. It's a rainy day in the city, rainy afternoon, but I kind of like the vibes in here right now. It's very low-key, very chill. Hey, Gamecocks are 1-0. Nobody's freaking out yet. We haven't lost a game. All is great in Gamecock Nation. Now, if we lose this weekend, I'm sure Tin Roof next week will be a shit show. But it's all good right now. All good vibe. We still all have our warm and fuzzy feelings. Scott Vaughn, no, I'm not going to the game Saturday. I'll be up in Greenville, South Carolina. We'll be having a watch party downtown Greenville at Carolina Ale House. Very excited for that. So if you're in the upstate, be sure to come on out. Sit Dog 9, here's something. He says, Chris, I think regardless of the actual outcome Saturday, a lot of reality is coming Saturday afternoon. Again, we're going to learn about this football team. We're going to learn about this football team a lot, for sure. For sure. Thomas Walker says, I don't think the defense gives up more than one touchdown, 28-10 Gamecocks. I hear you. I hope it happens. But I think some fans are letting a shutout of EIU get to their head a little bit. I really do. Guys, this defense is still hurting. There's still question marks. EIU should not have been on the field with South on a Saturday night. Just call it for what it is. Don't take anything away from them. You did what you should have done. But, I saw somebody comment today that Carolina was going to shut out Georgia and win 7-0. Come on, give me a break. That's right up there with that Dylan Thompson, Zeb Nolan take. So, I'm still just baffled. I'm still just baffled. God. Oh, man. Literally. He's a step below Dylan Thompson. Give me a break. What are you talking about? Jay says we're going to find something out Saturday, good or bad. Either way, people are going to overreact. Overreaction, it's just part of college football, right? The pageantry, the traditions, cool entrances, mascots, wearing your school colors, and overreacting. It's just part of the game. Just part of college football. It really is. Really is. It's just part of the game. So, just part of the game. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. People in the comments losing their minds over that Dylan Thompson thing. I don't blame you. That's wild. That is wild to me. That's wild. I don't know if there's just overreaction or if Busch lattes are flowing on a Wednesday afternoon. I have no idea. Again, appreciate the fine folks over at Tin Roof having us out. Be sure to tip your bartenders. Tip everybody here. Why not? Just throw it out. But appreciate them. Seriously, this is incredible. Really, really good stuff. Really do enjoy and appreciate coming out here each and every single week. It's a blast chatting with you guys, and appreciate everyone who takes the time to come out and support as well. So But yes, we are going to find out a lot this weekend. You are correct. We are going to find out a lot. It'll be a test. This is not, I think fans are going to realize very quickly that we're not playing EIU again. I'm not saying ECU's world beaters, but they're a lot better than EIU. I mean, ECU'd probably beat EIU by 28 points, guys. I mean, there's no question. EIU's trash. They're terrible. I don't know that there's many. Vanderbilt would beat EIU. I am confident in saying that. Vanderbilt would take care of business against EIU. So, take it for what it is. You won 46-0. You did your job. You did what you should have done. Compartmentalize it. Whatever. Now you move on to this weekend. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, last weekend felt a lot like the spring game. You just didn't learn anything. You didn't learn anything. John Kruger, I honestly would put money on that Vandy would beat EIU. Yes. I would be confident in putting money on Vanderbilt, which is very shocking for me to say. Dude, ETSU plus 21.5 was the easiest bet in the history of bets. Like, truly. It truly was the easiest bet of all time. No question. But, yes, Vandy would 110% beat EIU. There's no doubt. 843-790-3377. Joshua Jenkins, how many Gamecock fans will go up to Greenville, North Carolina to support the Gamecocks, if I had to guess? How many visitor tickets are there? I think there will be I think Gamecock fans will travel. I tell you this, if we weren't doing the watch party at Carolina Ale House, I'd be going. So, I'd be going. 10,000, 15? I don't know. 50,000 seat stadium. How many visitors get tickets? The DGD podcast, my guy says, congrats on 500,000 downloads. I appreciate that, DGD. Yeah, really, really good stuff. Incredible. Truly a blessing. It's damn near overwhelming. 500,000 is a big number, man. So really, really cool stuff. Again, I appreciate everybody that's ever taken a moment to tune in, support, show love. Without you guys, obviously it wouldn't be possible. So thank you. Sit Dog 9 says East Carolina's predicted to finish 9th out of 12th in the AAC, and we'll see deficiency Saturday. And the beat Georgia BS will be a distant memory. Yeah, I'll tell you this, Sit Dog, I'm not ready to talk about anything related to Georgia. I'm not ready to focus or lock in on Georgia in the slightest. I think you need to take care of your business this weekend. You can worry about next weekend. So worry about next weekend. Take care of your business this weekend. Because guess what? If you don't beat East Carolina, if you find a way to lose that game against Georgia, it don't matter anyways. It really doesn't. Because and that's Matt Navala. Let's get to Matt Navala's comment first. Is losing faith in our fan base. So much crying about quarterbacks and celebrating Clemson losses like it matters. Matt, somebody pissed Matt off. I don't know what's going on. Certainly one of the concerns for this weekend is just call it for what it is that if South Carolina finds a way to lose this football game, a lot of those warm, fuzzy feelings and that positive momentum and that positive energy and that welcome home and that new culture and that all that'll be gone. The honeymoon phase will be over, and reality will set in very quickly and very harshly. So, again, it's like I said, Shane Beamer's number one goal this football season, getting to 6 wins obviously is the goal when it comes to the record and on the field, but just getting to next preseason with the same optimism and positive energy and positive momentum that you had in the preseason, that's the number one goal. You can do that, you've succeeded. Truly. You can do that, you succeeded. I don't care if you win 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many. If you win 4, but if you can somehow have a successful season, cool. But you lose to East Carolina, and I called it the most important game of the season for months, and I'm not wavering off that, honestly. I'm not because I look at this game, this is a play-in game to a bowl game for South Carolina. You don't win this game Saturday, you can pretty much kiss your bowl hopes goodbye, in my opinion. I hate to say that so early in the year, but it's just one of those games you got to have, man. Win or lose, it's not an indictment on the Shane Beamer era. Whether it's going to be a success or failure, that will not be determined Saturday in Greenville. But again, in regards to the 2021 season, the game's massive. It's the most important game of the year. You're not going to go bowling unless you beat ECU. That's it. It will not happen. It will not happen. We even had a comment on social media. Somebody said this game this weekend is much more important than the game against Georgia next weekend. Just my opinion. That's a take. That's a take. And I don't really disagree with that take. If we're talking about what's the most important game of the season, I mean, hey, we upset Georgia in 2019. That was a really good time and a lot of fun, but it didn't do a lot for us. Getting to a bowl game, that'll do a lot for you in year one of Shane Beamer. To get to a bowl game, you got to take care of ECU. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. We're going to take a quick take 5. Phil, sound guy Phil, we'll take a quick take 5, and we'll grab another brewski, and we'll knock out this next hour. I don't think we'll need another take 5 of the second hour, but it's 6 o'clock. Again, submit your questions, your comments, everything else, and we'll catch you guys in 5 minutes. So run the music. All right, we're back. Sound guy Phil, we're back. Sound guy Phil. What's hilarious about that is that What's hilarious about that is the amount of Phils that I know are just like through the roof. The amount of Phils that tune into the show. We've got Phil Harris, Clone Phil, a couple other Phils, Sound Guy Phil, Phil Mickelson. How many Phils are Phil Petty? I mean, all the Phils. Just I didn't know Phil was such a popular name. Phil, right? Yeah. How else could you spell Phil? Is there F-I-L? Are there any F-I-Ls out there? Phil Harris comments, clone Phils everywhere. Everybody wants to be a Phil. Everybody wants to be a Phil. Love that. 843-790-3337. Brendan M., what's going on, Brendan? Why are you not here, Brendan? Delta 900 Chris, is App State that good or is ECU that bad? I think it's a mix of both. I think App State's good. I mean, I really do. Hey, here's about Delta. I counter your question with a question. Would South Carolina beat would South Carolina beat Appalachian State right now? If the Gamecocks and App State played this Saturday, who would win? I'd love to hear. It's a question that I don't want to answer. I want you to answer. So I saw somebody else in the comments hating on Bud Light. Dude, who cares? Like, whatever. Really? Beer's beer. It is what it is. Beer's beer for me. I don't really give a damn. Whatever. Andrew Quick, is this the week we see a receiver step up and have a coming out game, if you will? Love to see it as the group. This group is still the biggest question mark for this football team. Josh Vann certainly could be the guy, right? I mean, he looked good last week. I thought that was a huge positive for Josh Vann. A guy who's really battled adversity and somebody who I had high expectations and high hopes for as a 4-star prospect out of Tucker, Georgia. It's never clicked. He's been buried on the depth chart, battled some injuries. I thought he showed flashes last weekend. EIU, can't really take anything, draw any conclusions, if you will. But he certainly showed flashes. And, that's another top storyline for me. Again, you'll hear in the podcast tomorrow. That's a top storyline. Can Josh Vann, can he follow it up this week? Because if you can put back-to-back performances together, if Josh Vann can go out there this weekend, catch a couple of balls, and we catch a touchdown, all of a sudden you start to say, okay, he's a guy. He's a guy for you. He's established himself early as a guy for you. So maybe Josh Vann can be that guy. Shannon DeWitt says ECU isn't a pushover like Eastern Illinois. Then Shannon goes on to say, I say South Carolina 35, East Carolina 17. For those people that are saying we're going to score 35 on ECU, do you realize we scored 46? And think of how many offensive points. I guess we did. We let off the gas pedal. Don't get me wrong, but okay, 35-17, whatever. 35-17. 35-17. James Kendall says we would beat Appalachian State 7 out of 10 games. I don't know. I don't know, my man. The DGD podcast, who's faster, Jordan Birch or Ezel? What is Ezel? I don't know what Ezel is. Ezel? Not a gazelle. E-Z-E-L. If you're trying to spell gazelle and that's how you spelled it, that's pretty bad. Yeah, I thought that too. Let's see. Okay, cool. I actually just tweeted out a little bit ago. About the Dylan Thompson thing. We're starting to get some traction on that Dylan Thompson thing. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Crackhead energy coming from old what's his face? Whoever Will, whatever the guy's name was. Again, 843-790-3377. Guys, that's 843-790-3377. Oh, E-Z-E-L. Ezel's the crackhead from the movie Friday. Bro, you completely. I don't know that movie that well. I haven't seen that movie in God knows how long. So you missed me with that one, my guy. I appreciate you trying to make a joke, but I have no idea. Let's see. Taylor Novinger, how about some basketball talk? Frank Martin killing it on the recruiting trail. And that, what's crazy, like we're not that far from basketball season. I don't see many Gamecock fans wanting to talk about it, but we're not that far from basketball season. I think Gamecock fans at this point, man, I don't care who you got on campus. I don't care what prospects are coming to town. You just got to go win. That's the only way you're going to get Gamecock fans excited for men's basketball again is to go win games. Because the reality is this. Fans care about one thing. When you're sitting at the bar with your buddies and you're talking college basketball, nobody's talking about, oh, this is our SEC record the last 5 years, or this is Frank Martin's record the last 10 years, and it's the best run in the last 10 years. The question you have with your buddies, you're drinking a beer, hey, did your team make the tournament last year? That's it. If you don't make the tournament, who gives a damn? You didn't do anything. That's just the unfortunate reality. And at South Carolina, you have not done it since the Final Four. So, if we really want to fire things up, we'll start talking basketball. And I'm not a fire Frank Martin guy. I think some are out there. I'm not. I like Frank Martin, and I think if Frank Martin doesn't succeed here, I will say I think there's issues deeper than Frank Martin that hold South Carolina basketball back to a degree. But if you want to get excitement back in the program, you've just got to win. You got to win, bottom line. You got to win. Getting to a tournament, getting to an NCAA tournament, getting back. You don't have to go to a Final Four. You don't have to go back to a Final Four, but you just got to get to the tournament. Especially when you have Clemson in the upstate going to the tournament. They're in a much tougher conference than you. There's just no excuse. There's no excuse. And it'll start in the non-conference. I'll be honest with you. I like Frank Martin. Again, I got to meet Frank Martin at the Welcome Home Tour. Awesome dude. I think he's an awesome guy. But my expectations will not be high for South Carolina basketball this season. They won't. They will not be very high at all. So, we'll see what happens. That's crazy though, man. I'll tell you what, you talk about the content bleeding out the eyeballs. When the sports start overlapping and we got football and basketball going, then we got basketball and baseball overlapping. Oh, dude. It is truly madness when that goes down. Truly madness. Joshua Jenkins, who has more rushing yards, Marshawn Lloyd or Kevin Harris on Saturday? Well, the question really that should be being asked, what's the workload going to be for Kevin Harris? Is he ready to take 20 carries, 25? I liked what I saw from Marshawn last week. I'm a big Marshawn Lloyd guy. But I don't know. I do think Kevin Harris just gives a different spark to the running game. I do. And I think he will do that again this Saturday. But again, will it be in limited action? How limited will he be? Are they able to use him? They're not going to have to overuse him. So I'd probably say Marshawn Lloyd will have more rushing yards. I do. I got to say Marshawn probably will. So I could see Marshawn Lloyd breaking a big one Saturday. South Carolina should be able to score. I'm not going to say they're going to get into like the high 30s, but it shouldn't. It's not going to be a 13-10 game. Like they're going to be able to score. They're going to lean on the run game. I think you have to, for sure. I don't care who's under center. I think you're going to have to. Excited to see a guy like Jaheim Bell, what he can do for you. And again, hey, I will say this. The fans with the high expectations and the expectations of a blowout, it's actually a beautiful thing if you think about it, because you accomplished last week what you set out to accomplish, which was gain a massive amount of confidence. Right? You're not going into the ECU game kind of like you were you're not going into the ECU game like you were EIU with, it's just question mark. At least now you have some confidence. You had some guys make some plays that you hadn't seen make plays either in a long time or ever. So now you have confidence. You do have confidence. And you can, what comes first, confidence or success? Well, you're able to get both last week. So now all of a sudden you roll into this game, against East Carolina, feeling pretty good about yourself. Can you translate that over into some big-time plays and a big-time victory? Somebody said, so no love for Zaquandre White on the touches. Yeah, Quan will get touches. They'll all get touches. Quan, Marshawn, Kevin, Juju. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rashad Ames out there. They'll all get touches. Yeah, I don't think Quan White will lead in yards, but he'll definitely carry the football. I mean, there's no question. He'll definitely carry the football. So, again, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Jordan Burch playing offense. Dude's a freaking age with his speed. Yeah, why not? I mean, I think they're going to focus and lock in on him playing defense right now. You got plenty of options at tight end, which is the position he would go to. You got plenty of options at the tight end position. I don't think you need to mess around and throw Jordan Burch out there. Let him focus on being a great defensive player, making plays on the defensive side. Carter Bingham says Harris will get 12 carries this weekend. 12. It's fair. I mean, who knows? Who knows? All right, we got a call here. We're going to jump back to the phone lines. I'm going to put sound guy Phil to work here. Jump back to the phone lines real quick. Jonathan, what's up, man? You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking.
So I was calling. I know the big talk right now is the quarterback. Luke Doty, Ed Nolan. But what do we do with the quarterback turned wide receiver, Dak Joyner? I mean, everybody said he's a dynamic playmaker if you get the ball in his hands, but it seems like the dude can't catch.
He had problems catching it Saturday, did he not? He did. No question. No question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
and then you put him in a wildcat, and it's like, off tackle left, off tackle right. Like, anybody can see that coming.
Well, Jonathan, I mean, I tell you this, man, and this might be a harsh thing for some Gamecock fans to accept, but don't you at some point just have to say he's not a wide receiver? I mean, he didn't come to Carolina to play wide receiver, did he? He came to play quarterback.
Right.
And so he's a quarterback playing wide receiver technically. So I'm not saying Dak Joyner can't have a successful season this year and rebound and catch 10 balls this weekend. But, the limited action, I mean, I don't think he's going to be – let's just say this. He's not going to play in the NFL at the wide receiver spot. I don't think anybody is confused and has that type of belief, do they? I mean, I just – when I saw Dak last week, that's what I thought. I just said it's unfortunate, but let's just call it what it is. He's a quarterback playing receiver. And, again, I hope they continue to try to use creative ways to get him involved. But if it's not there, don't force it. You know what I mean? We all want to see him succeed, but we've also got to do what's best for the football team and go win games. So if it's not using Dak, unfortunately, it's just not using Dak, bottom line.
Yeah. Do you think there's a package for him that from the Wildcat where they'll let him throw it?
I mean, I think if you're going to throw it, I'd rather have the guys who are actually starting to throw it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are plays. I'm sure there are plays where they have that built in. We'll have to wait and see. But it's one of those situations where if you do that and something goes wrong, you're going to look like a complete idiot. You know what I mean? So if you do it, it better be a situation where they're telling Dak, hey, if he's wide open, hit him. If not, tuck it, get what you can, try to make a play, but don't do anything stupid.
Well, thanks for answering the questions, and I appreciate it as always. And Spurs up.
Spurs up. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. Great stuff. Great call there. Sound guy Phil. Working hard. 843-790-3377. Let's see. Tanner Land, Chris, I think you're looking at a 27-17 Carolina win on Saturday. I could see that. I think that's a very fair score prediction. Again, I had 28-24 in the preseason, and I'll lock in my official prediction on Friday. But I think in that range, I think it's going to be a one-score game. If South Carolina, I'll tell you this: if the margin of victory on either side is 10 points or more, I'd be very surprised. So, but I mean, heck, I'd love to see it, man. What if you could, man? Let's just talk hypothetically. What if the Gamecocks go out there and win 35-13? Does it change the perspective of the season? Do we all of a sudden say, oh, the Gamecocks are an 8-win team now, 9-win team? Do we start saying stuff like that? What does it mean for the season? To me, if you can get a huge win, it just tells me, well, I feel pretty confident saying the Gamecocks are going to go to a bowl game. Feel pretty damn confident in saying that. Doesn't mean they're going to win the national championship. Doesn't mean they're going to win the SEC. Doesn't mean they're going to go 8-4. But, maybe we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Maybe so. And then the beauty of that is you've got a group of 18 to 22-year-olds on your football team that, you start 2-0. You start 2-0, and all of a sudden, those guys going to Athens, they don't know they're supposed to get beat. They don't know they're supposed to lose. And then again, who knows? Somebody else just said, did you hear about JT Daniels? Is this official news? Is this just a Twitter rumor? Somebody in the comments, again, I know it's insider season, but somebody give me something solid. I could just go to Twitter and search JT Daniels. That would probably be the easiest thing. Let's see. JT Daniels. God, there are just so many anonymous accounts that say so much dumb. Anthony Dasher of UGAsports.com. Warren McClendon says JT Daniels and Carson Beck are both getting reps. I mean, okay. 8 minutes ago, Warren McClendon says JT Daniels has been taking reps and, quote, hasn't missed a beat in practice. So, what are we talking about? I hate message boards, bro. I just can't stand it. It does say JT Daniels is questionable. Injury to his core. Status is day-to-day. He practiced Monday. Did not see a lot of action on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. He practiced. But why would you play JT Daniels against UAB? Who gives a damn? Why would you play him? Makes no sense. They're going to win by 50. Georgia minus, I think, 24. I think that's the line, 20. Make sure. 24, because I posted these picks. Yeah, Georgia's a 24-point favorite. What? I think the over-under in that game is like 46. They're expecting that Georgia D, which I don't blame them. I tell you what's a sneak, since we're just talking college football, I tell you what's a really good game this week, and the Gamecock fans you should probably pay attention to, Kentucky and Missouri. I think that's going to be a really good game. Kentucky, a 4.5-point favorite. I believe that's a night game. That's going to be a very interesting football game. I'm excited to get an early look at those two teams. Excited to get an early look at those two squads, for sure. Really, really good stuff. Carter Bingham, how many years realistically until Beamer can bring home a college football playoff national championship? How many years until South Carolina is going to win a national title? Well, history says never, Carter. History would say never. Realistically, if everything worked out, Beamer's the best hire that he's the guy. And everything worked out. We started, starting with this class, we started recruiting at a top 20 clip, then top 15, and the classes just got better and better and better. You started this year and you went 7-5. You're ahead of schedule. You win 8 next year. You got crazy momentum. You still would probably need, at minimum 5 classes to, I think, build the depth in the team to compete for that. At minimum. I'd probably say 6 to 7. You're not starting with, it's the cupboard's not empty, but you're not starting with a plethora of riches. You got to build the roster. You got to find a quarterback. So Carter Bingham, I would say let's focus more on Shane Beamer building the program back to winning 8-9 games a year and every couple of years competing with Georgia for an SEC East crown. Once you get to Atlanta, who knows? But hey, how about this? South Carolina right now, guys, you got to worry about beating Kentucky. You got to beat Mizzou. You got to beat Tennessee, because if you're not beating them, I'm sorry, and that was one of the biggest knocks I had on the previous regime and the previous staff. South Carolina can't call themselves a legitimate contender for anything if they can't beat Kentucky. I'm just sorry. I mean, all due respect and credit to the Kentucky program, what they've built, everything they're doing in Lexington. And I mean, James Kendall comments, you got to beat ECU. Yeah, you got to beat ECU. You got to beat ECU, bottom line. Again, a lot of these questions and these comments and this conversation, I love it. Love it, but man, just I fear for some folks that even if the Gamecocks, here's the thing, even if the Gamecocks win by 3 or win by 6, let's say they win by a touchdown, I think there are some fans that are going to be going crazy. It's going to be like, guys, we told you all preseason it was going to be a close game. We told you it was going to be a battle. Justin Langford says 7 to 10 years would be nice to finally do the unthinkable. And I think that's what fans really have to take into account is like South Carolina winning a national title, guys, would be the unthinkable. Truly. Truly. If you want to be honest about it. It'd be the unthinkable. I mean, it would be Shane Beamer would be one of the best coaches in college football history if he could do that with South Carolina. No question. So 843-790-3370. Look at this game this weekend, by the way, because tomorrow's podcast, again, it's been recorded. It's in the books. We'll drop tomorrow morning, episode 493. Full breakdown of East Carolina, top storylines, key matchups, keys to the game, everything you need to know. Looking at this game, again, this is a huge game for the South Carolina 2021 football season, I should say, and the prospects of the year. We're going to jump back to the phone lines real quick, Sound Guy Phil. We're going to jump back to the phones. We do have a call. We'll go ahead and take ironically enough, Sound Guy Phil, this is also Phil that's calling in. What's up, Phil? How you doing?
Pretty good, my brother. How are you doing?
Just living in a land of Phils, man. It's Phil's world.
Yeah, this is the original call number 1, Phil, right here, brother.
The OG.
The OG. So I just wanted to, mention the first thing that we need to focus on as a program from this year to about, I'd say, year 3. We need to be leapfrogging over Tennessee, who's a dumpster fire, Kentucky, who's built up a good program, and Missouri, who came out of nowhere, when they joined the league. They've had success. They've got a good head coach. They're bringing in good players. We need to be leapfrogging over them into the 3rd spot in the division. Like, without any question, we're the 3rd best team in this division in the SEC East. That is really the first step in this program in terms of growth. Talking about winning the SEC or the national championship, that is, we're at the bottom of the mountain on Mount Everest, and that is the top. You know what I'm saying? We gotta take our, move slowly here. And once we get to that 3rd place, then we need to talk about how can we start beating Georgia and Florida and out-recruiting them on a yearly basis. That's really, the next step after that, to where we can talk about getting the SEC championships, maybe once every couple years or something like that. That's really where we need to focus on, This game right here is not going to be an easy win. So that tells you how much this program, since the good, glory years of Spurrier, where it has fallen, right? We've lost to Kentucky, 5 out of 6 years or whatever?
6 out of 7. 6 out of 7.
We're not anywhere close.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've made the right choice in the hire here with Coach Beamer. There's no reason at this point to believe we haven't done a good job with that, or the administration has. But we got to focus on being the 3rd best team in the SEC East first before anything else is going to take place. You can't see any of these big goals before before we get to that point. It's just not feasible. It's not even really worth talking about. Look at these small goals, get to a bowl game each year, see if we can get into that 3rd spot, and then start trying to slowly climb to the top of the SEC East standings. That's really the goal.
You have to walk before you can run, Phil. I agree with you 110%. I want to ask you about this game, Phil. Again, you make a lot of great points, and I agree with every single one of them. But obviously from, that little excerpt you just had, I think everybody knows at this point, you're a bit of a realist like me. I mean, you went to the University of South Carolina, you give money to USC, but you are a realist when it comes to your alma mater and the program. This game this weekend, I know we're going to talk about on the Daily Crow probably definitely over the next 2 days, but what are you expecting from the game this weekend? Realistically, honestly, what do you think of the game?
It's just a big question mark in my mind right now because we played a team that had no business being on the field with us in terms of being a subdivision below us. We blew them out. ECU loses to Appalachian State. So I don't really know. In my heart of hearts, I believe that we're going to win a squeaker. We might win by 3 points. Definitely not double digits. But I don't know. That's the big question mark. It's so early in the season. I want to believe that we could just walk in there and whoop their ass, right? That would be wonderful. But I don't know if the roster is there yet, man. I just don't see a big blowout win like some of our fans. God bless them. They're so optimistic, and they just haven't maybe had their heart hurt as many times as we have. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Poor Parrish yesterday. Poor Parrish. I mean.
I know, man. Listen, he's going to be a world of hurt in about 2 weeks. I really feel that, and I hate it for him. Our fans have the best of intentions, man. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hope. But eventually it's going to crash down all over you. Yeah. And you just have to be a little bit more realistic. You have to look at it a little bit with jaded glasses on because otherwise you're just going to hurt yourself, man. You'll be crying at the end of the season. We've all been there.
Spoken like a veteran Gamecock. I mean, really, truly.
Yeah, man. Hope for the best, but expect the worst.
I love it. Phil, appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks so much.
All right, brother.
Take care. That is the other Phil amongst a long list of Phils. Really good stuff. Now, I mean, you can tell Phil has seen some things as a Gamecock fan, but he makes a lot of good points. Yeah, you have to walk before you can run as a football program. There's no question. Talking about beating the Georgias of the world and winning a national title and winning an SEC. I'll ask. I think what's hard for fans to wrap their heads around is they just think, well, I love the University of South Carolina, so why shouldn't everybody else love it too? And it's like, but let's just put you in the shoes of a big-time recruit and a big-time prospect. You're a 5-star. I'm a 5-star quarterback. Why should I go to Carolina over Georgia? Why? I mean, what are the reasons? I think what Steve Spurrier and that staff sold was, number one, you're going to play for a Hall of Fame, a legend coach. But you're going to be able to come here and do things that have never been done before. They sell the fan base. They sell the atmosphere. And I don't know if I really want to be that guy, but I will. I was not thrilled with the attendance Saturday. And I know there were a lot of issues with the student ticketing gate stuff that I don't know if anybody here might know about, but got a lot of really crazy DMs and videos and whatever. But the attendance Saturday night was not great. It just wasn't. I mean, you can say whatever you want. You can make every excuse in the book. I get it. COVID's happening. I get it. Life's happening. Price to go to a game, travel. I totally understand. But I saw a lot of schools over the weekend that I feel like probably have the same issues we do, that they packed the stadium. Look at Texas A&M Kent State. There wasn't a seat open in that 100,000-seat stadium. And we had 64,000 come to Shane Beamer's debut as a head coach. I don't know, man. So, but my point is, though, what can fans do to help sell the University of South Carolina? Show up, show out, be loud. Kentucky listen, South Carolina goes out there. If they get this type of win that a lot of you were saying, we're going to go beat ECU by 21. I don't care what happens against Georgia. Gamecock fans better show up against Kentucky. They better show up. And I understand fans have showed up before and gotten burned, but hey, it's a new era, and you're probably going to have recruits in the building at a game like that. Show up. Show up, be loud, be early. It was just disturbing to look across. I was on the home side to look up and look across, at the upper deck and see it half empty. It was tough. It was a tough look. It was a really tough look. So anyways, hey, You didn't want to go. I don't care. It's fine. Doesn't bother me. I was at the games. It didn't really matter to me. But just saying, I was a little surprised, to be honest with you. I was a little surprised. I was. Justin Langford says, come build a dynasty that reloads year after year after year and so on. Well, Justin, a lot of people would say, well, why wouldn't I just go to Georgia where they're already winning and have a dynasty? Why wouldn't I go to Clemson? They're already winning. They have a dynasty. Why wouldn't I just go there? Why wouldn't I go to Bama? And again, they can't all go to those schools, but the tradition aspect is something you fight at the University of South Carolina. The tradition aspect is something you fight. There's no question. You fight that on the recruiting trail. So, again, guys, 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. For those who may have missed it, again, want to say thank you to everyone who's taken even a moment of their time to ever tune into the podcast, to the work we create. Surpassed 500,000 all-time podcast downloads, and an insane number, a number I really never thought about or fathomed. So I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you, because it's crazy. Blessed beyond measure. So I appreciate y'all. Looks like we have another call. I'm putting Phil to work tonight. Putting Phil to work. This one coming out of Columbia. Let's jump to the phone lines real quick. There we go. All right, here we go. Dalton, what's going on? You're on the air. How you doing, my man?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking.
We're talking a little bit about, what the expectation for Beamer and his tenure as coach at South Carolina should be. And I just think, you said it, a lot of people have said it, but I just think the expectation to win a national title at some point is too high. There are programs that are out there that have never won a national title, and they're better than ours, and they've historically been better than ours, right? So, I mean, I think for me, the expectation of a national title would not be there.
You think about it, Dalton. Georgia's only won one. They've only won one.
Yeah. I mean, there are schools that are powerhouse football schools that have only won a couple of national titles. I mean, Tennessee has won, a couple, and they're absolute trash right now. So, I mean, for me, what I'm expecting out of Beamer is for him to consistently get about 10 wins a season for, however long it takes for him to build the program up, right?
Right.
And then after that, we can think about maybe making it to the playoff, because there's a lot of things that is going to go into it over the next decade or so. The landscape of what the college football playoff is going to look like is going to change, and everything like that. So I just think getting to that point where, again, like Phil said, we're third in the SEC East, and there's no question. We can take the field against Tennessee, Kentucky, Mizzou, and have an expectation to win by a lot every single time is I think where what the midterm goal should be. And then after that, we can think about maybe making it to a national championship,
I think that's very fair. Yeah, I think that's very fair.
Again, though, I think the recruiting, though, I think Shane Beamer is a good recruiter. Obviously, even with how good Shane Beamer is at recruiting, I don't think that we're going to have the wealth of five-star talent that other schools have, like Ohio State, like Georgia, like Florida, like Alabama. So the main thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get solid three and four-star prospects and develop them into talent that can compete with the five stars and all that, because these recruiting websites, that it looks great when you're, power ranking on the recruiting scale as top 10, top 15. But if you can't develop that talent, it doesn't matter, because, nobody really seems to look at how many of these five-star recruits don't pan out, So that's the thing with that. recruiting is an important aspect, but it's not the end all be all. It's whether or not you can develop the talent that you're bringing to your program.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Brad Lawing definitely reconfirmed that a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I like what I'm seeing from the development standpoint. Like, our special teams took a great leap forward. Obviously, from last year to this year, our special teams is again incredibly well coached. I expect to see more block punts, more trick plays maybe from this coaching staff than from previous coaching staffs. And our special teams is going to be dynamic on the field and give you a chance to make a big play whenever they're out there, which is a good thing for us. And again, it's just that development. We need to develop the offense. We need to develop the defense. I'm not sure about whether or not this new quarterback that Shane Beamer recruited out of Delaware is going to be good, but he seems like he's incredibly talented. And along with Doty, hopefully we can get our quarterback room, up to a level where they can compete against Georgia and Florida. But it's in my mind, it's more about developing than it is about just, getting a prospect that's highly ranked,
For sure. Absolutely. Dalton, I appreciate the call. I'm going to take it off air. I appreciate the call, though. Thank you.
All right. You have a good one.
Appreciate it, Dalton. Like I said, we're making Phil work very hard right now. No, everything you said is true. Again, if you listen to that conversation with Brad Long a couple of weeks ago, yeah, the stars and the recruiting rankings are not the end-all, be-all. I mean, he talked about that crazy story with Chris Culliver that we posted to social media where Chris Culliver was a 3-star, and he just told the guys, hey, I need him to be a 5-star. Can you bump his rating up? And they did. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's no knock on them. I've met Wes Mitchell. I've interacted with some of those other guys that work for some of those sites. That's a hell of a business model they have, and it works. And they've made a really, really good living and a lot of money doing it. Bro, I would never pay for it. That's the funniest part. People try to accuse us of trying to take information off the message boards. It's like, bro, if you think I'm gonna pay for a message board, you must be out of your mind. I'd rather not know. So, but yeah, there's certainly more to it than recruiting. You got to have the right coach. You got to have the right system. You got to have the right scheme. And I mean, dude, something people don't think about too is just to win a championship. I mean, you can have the best players and still not win. Believe it or not, you really can. You can have the best coach and still not win. You can have all the best intentions and still not win. It just things that got to kind of line up and come together. I mean, I think that, like I said, for South Carolina and Shane Beamer, and I think fans will give him time. I don't think there's many a fan out there that are setting the expectations of national championship or bust for the Shane Beamer era. I don't see that. There's a few out there that like to bring that up, or and the reason they're bringing it up, if Clemson wasn't doing what they're doing, and if they had never won a national title, that wouldn't be the expectations for Shane Beamer. The expectations would be win 7 or 8 games, get us to a bowl game, beat Clemson every other year, success, boom. But since that's happened, there's just more pressure. There's just more pressure. There's just more pressure, bottom line. So, I think that you got to walk before you can run. Hell, you got to crawl before you can walk if you're South Carolina. So getting back to relevancy, legitimacy, whether that be locally, nationally, whatever, getting to the point where you're just winning 7, 8 games a year again, really. And then you can take the next step of winning double digits. And then you can take the next step of winning an SEC East, which you've only won one of in your entire history. It's like, I don't know, fans forget that South Carolina's won an SEC East title and a 1969 ACC title, and outside of that, they have won nothing. I mean, I even think, too, because, obviously I wasn't alive for it all, but I'm like, how could Carolina have been so bad for so long? How is it possible? How did they not just stumble into a good year? How can you be that bad? It's baffling, really. It's no disrespect to any of the former Gamecocks. I've had Gamecocks from all of the eras, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, recently. But, man, we've had some great athletes on some terrible teams. That's the only way to put it. We've had some great athletes on some miserable teams. And I know one thing I talked with my good buddy Eric Kimry about, who's on the staff, We had this conversation last year, obviously before he was ever on staff. His big thing is give a coach time to develop and to win. And I would like to see that with Shane Beamer. You want to give him 10 years, give him 10. That's fine. Whatever. At this point, you just got to ride it out. Let's just ride the Shane Beamer era out and just see what happens. Because I will agree, changing coaches every 4 or 5 years, unless it's a Muschamp thing and you just know the guy's a bum, he's failed somewhere else, it's a no-brainer. He hasn't changed. He's not getting the job done. I agree with that. Make the decision, make the change. But a guy like Beamer, let's grow with him. Let's let him evolve. Let's see what he can do. Right? You got to give him a chance. You got to and that's something I talked about during the summer too. Is Shane Beamer is going to grow and evolve and get better too. Not just the football team, not just the recruits, not just the talent on campus. Shane Beamer is going to get better as well. He's going to evolve in his own right as a head football coach. So I think Gamecock Nation needs to wrap their arms around this guy and let him grow and let him build and let him develop. And, hey, man, if it doesn't work out, so be it. Like I said, I don't know how many games Shane Beamer's going to win. I don't know if he's going to win a national championship. I don't know any of that. But I do feel confident in saying that Shane Beamer will leave South Carolina football better off than he found it. And, that's saying a lot more than a lot of coaches. Who was the last coach to do that? I guess Lou Holtz was the last coach that really did that. He did leave Carolina football a lot better than he found it, but not all of them have. So I think Shane Beamer will do that. If it's not Shane Beamer, I think he will set up the next coach for success as well as he can. So we do have a text here on the text line. Somebody says, this is Doty's team. I do think Zeb takes the first 2 series to give Luke a chance to get his emotions in check and get a few mental reps on what ECU is doing and their speed. I'll tell you this right now, my guy. If Luke Doty needs to get mental reps in, then he don't need to play. And that's my guy, David Garrick. Goodness, David. Now, if he needs to get mental reps in, he don't need to play. If you're not ready to go on Saturday, then you don't need to play. Bottom line. You spend all week watching film. I don't know. I hear what you're saying to a degree, but if you're not ready to go on Saturday, you're just not ready to go. So my guy J-Mo in the building, tweeting at Shane Beamer. Never got a response, did you? Nah, you're not going to. You're going to be waiting quite a while. I got a better chance of getting a response tomorrow night at Backstreet's Grill when I see him in person. So, yeah. So, anyways, got a little bit over 10 minutes, less than 15 minutes to go here. Wednesday night. A very chill Wednesday night here at Tin Roof. Appreciate everybody coming out, though. Appreciate the boys up front. Appreciate y'all. Got the Braves cap on. Braves are playing really well right now. I haven't watched a ton of games. Did they win last night? Braves won last night? They're playing the Nats. Very nice. Yeah, the Braves, just every trade I think they made is panned out. Getting Duvey back and Soler, and if only they had Soroka and Acuna. Man, what a team that could be. What a team that could be. Braves are fighting to win the NL East just to lose in the first round of the Dodgers. Probably. So, unfortunately. But, yeah, Ozzy's been incredible. I saw the highlight on Twitter. I think he was for some reason hitting right-handed against a righty and still hit a bomb. So that dude's on fire. Yeah, so he's the truth. Would love to get back to a Braves game at some point. We went I think in May, and that was my first time at the new stadium, and man, what a time. The battery's incredible. The batteries. John Kruger says right now the Braves are slated to play Milwaukee. I don't know anything about Milwaukee except JBJ's there. So I just, dude, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where it's like I stay so busy with what I do, and I love baseball, love Major League Baseball, but the season is just so long. There's so many games. Like, it's just so long. And if you're not keeping up with baseball every day, you're just not even keeping up with it at all, because it's an everyday thing. Yeah. So again, looking at this game, this is the last time, of course, we'll chat here before the game on Saturday. Like I said, I'm gonna wait till Friday to lock in my prediction, but I am confident in this game. Listen, I never meant, if I did, I apologize, but I never meant to insinuate during the preseason that this was a game South Carolina should lose. This is a game we should expect to win. This is a game you should win. You're more talented than East Carolina top to bottom. You have more talented players. You look at the recruiting classes. South Carolina has recruited better than South Carolina has recruited better than ECU. South Carolina should never get to a point in their program where they're, expecting to lose to East Carolina. But I think it will be a close game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think ECU at home, packed house, rowdy. I mean, I've never been, but I know many people that have gone there that are big East Carolina fans that, it's going to be a rowdy atmosphere at Dowdy-Ficklin. There's no question. They're going to give you their best shot. I fully expect that from East Carolina, no doubt. So, but I think the Gamecocks on the line of scrimmage, that is where you can truly separate yourself. I think ECU's got athletes. The keys will be, though, again, we could make this the keys of the week every single week, but your defensive line getting after Holton Ahlers and your offensive line creating running room for your backs, giving whoever's behind center time, but especially establishing the ground game. Establish the ground game. That's where you have to win. I think the matchup you have to win. ECU averaging giving up 201 yards per game last year and 226 in their first game against Appalachian State. Appalachian State's a good football team, but I don't know many people are going to argue they got a better offensive line than South Carolina. I'd be very surprised, or I would highly doubt they did. So I think the chances for South Carolina to get a W and be 2-0 are good. I think they're really good. I picked as a win in the preseason. So I think the chances to get a dub are good. Feel good about the game, and like I said, confident overall. And, again, it sounds like coach speak, but as long as you don't beat yourself and you don't turn the ball over and you don't do anything stupid, you should win. You should win, honestly. You really should. But will South Carolina do that? Should is like a curse word for Gamecock fans, because there's been a lot of times we should have done something, and hasn't always panned out. Justin Langford, we've played close games against ECU, and it will test us. They'll test us, that's for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. We have talent, but you also have to realize what's on the roster for South Carolina, and we're not where we want to be. We're not where we need to be. And ECU's got some good players. There's no question. They've got good ball players. I don't think they're as bad as they looked in week one. They'll test us. They'll test us for sure. They'll test us undoubtedly. So it's going to be a fun one. 843-790-3377. We'll take last-minute questions, comments. We got less than 10 minutes to go, about 5 minutes to go, really, here on a Wednesday, September the 8th, 2021. Like I said, guys, we are live actually every single – believe it or not, we do this every day, noon to 2. The Daily Crow, Monday through Friday. We do this noon to 2, talk Gamecocks, take questions, take calls, comments on social media. Of course, those tuned in digitally, thank you, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Just a quick reminder, if you are in the upstate, watch party at Carolina Ale House in Greenville, South Carolina, downtown Greenville location. Going to be a really, really good time. I know a lot of you have already DM'd me about coming out. Going to be a lot of fun. For all those that show up, by the way, if you need more incentive, you tell your waitress or bartender, whoever you're there with TSUS, you get 10% off your entire order. Doesn't matter if it's alcohol, doesn't matter if it's food. So pretty good setup, honestly. I appreciate Carolina Ale taking care of our people. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, yeah, going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for that trip. Staying with a good buddy of mine in Anderson, South Carolina. So, going to be a very, very good time. Whiskey will be consumed. Cigars will be smoked. It'll be a fun weekend. Somebody texts in, not setting our expectations ridiculously high for Shane Beamer. Spot on, especially in his first 4 to 5 years. But that is something I do think the Gamecock Nation can have high hopes for, is what he's already done. Some may say, well, he hasn't done anything yet, but I got to thinking the other day, as a first-time head coach, ever built this much momentum, excitement, and carried himself in a professional type of manner in their first head coaching gig like Shane Beamer has at an SEC school. An SEC school is very first head coaching job, is something to think about. I mean, sure, I guess. I mean, every fan base says the same thing about their head coach, and there's nothing like this guy. And I get what you're saying, but no, listen, I'm excited for Shane Beamer, not because he beat EIU 46-0, whatever, but there are many other reasons why I think we should be excited about the Shane Beamer era. Hey, Chris Colton here. Do you think our O-line will have a better showing this Saturday? Overall, what would you say their best and worst qualities were? Well, number one, I think they will have a better showing. I think the offensive line is still going to be a strength. When you go back and watch the game, The blocking wasn't quite as bad. I mean, EIU was sending the house. It was obvious they were trying to take away our run game, which is totally understandable. Worst qualities were just not being able to get enough of a push. Maybe I set my expectations too high for the game. I thought we were going to go out there and just completely bulldoze and bully around EIU, and it didn't really necessarily happen. Again, credit some of that to EIU. I mean, I'm very cautious to say credit EIU because they're bad. We should have just done whatever we wanted. And, I mean, 254 rushing yards. I mean, you did to an extent. But they got to be better. The O-line's got to be better. There's no question. I think they will. The thing that makes me feel confident with the offensive line is, at least with the O-line, we know we have the players. There's some other positions on the roster where you question, is the answer on the roster, or is the only way you can find the solution to that answer in recruiting? That's the big thing. So I do think that the answers are on the roster. I think there's talent on the offensive line. I mean, again, 4 or 5 coming back from an offensive line that paved the way for Kevin Harris and what he did a season ago. I feel very good about that. So I think those guys will be much improved this week. I think they'll be much improved. I think the running game will have a lot of success. I'll tell you that. I think the running game is going to have success this weekend. It's going to have to. If you can't run the football, you have a whole other slew of problems. But I think the running game will have success. Those guys will have a much improved week. And pass blocking I was fine with. I thought Zeb had time to throw. I didn't see much of issues with the pass protection. It's got to get better, though, from last season. But, hey, having a guy like Luke Doty under center certainly can help that for sure. There's no question. There's no question. Joshua Jenkins, if this game was at home, would we win by at least 14 points? Again, it's just a hypothetical that's unanswerable. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel good about the win. I don't want to spoil my prediction for Friday. We'll drop everything Friday, all the details, everything with that prediction. But I had 28-24 South Carolina in the preseason. I feel really good about that. I feel really good about that prediction, and how much will it change? I think you can probably tell I'm probably not going to pick East Carolina to win. No, I think Gamecock fans should feel confident. I think there's many reasons to feel confident. With a big physical offensive line, you got options at the quarterback position. Maybe, looking at it from the positive side, maybe Josh Vann, maybe he can emerge as your number one option. Defensively, your defensive line. The line of scrimmage is why you should feel confident about this game. And like I said, I do feel confident the Gamecocks will be 2-0 after Saturday. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I think it'll be a close game. And I still stick by what I said in the preseason. It's the most important game of this season. I really, really do believe that. I really do believe that. It's the most important game. If getting to a bowl game is the number one goal, then this game is the most important game, because you will not get to a bowl game if you do not beat the East Carolina Pirates. You will not. You will not. So, with that being said, I think that's a good stopping point, Phil. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, appreciate y'all coming out. Thank you so much to Tin Roof. This has been a blast each and every single Wednesday. Appreciate the homies up front that came out. I know you guys were here last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. So appreciate y'all showing up, showing out. Again, a little bit of a slower night here on a rainy Wednesday, but either way, we're still in game week. Gamecocks taking on ECU this weekend, 7 o'clock. Noon kick. Yeah, definitely don't tune in at 7. The game will be over. Noon kickoff on ESPN2. For those who are making the trip, safe travels. Enjoy yourself. It'll be a raucous environment from everything I've heard. Again, I've never been. It'll be a raucous environment, though. And for those who are going to be in the upstate Gamecocks, head out to Carolina Ale House, downtown Greenville. We'll be throwing a watch party. Really, really looking forward to that. And like I said, guys, check out the podcast that drops tomorrow. Breaking down everything with this ECU game. And then lastly, thank you all so much for the continued love and support. Those that tune into the podcast, man, hitting 500,000 all-time downloads is something really cool and something I don't take for granted. We don't take for granted, and cheers to the next 500,000, next stop a milli. So on that note, appreciate y'all. We're going to get out of here. Tip your bartenders, tip your servers. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good night. Appreciate y'all tuning in.